green fields white. Our boys in line, waiting for the kick-off, watching the flares at night. Run, run for the line. Run, run for the line.
Let's go back 100 years. This is the story of the impact of war, the First World War, on two men and the communities they came from, Tom Bryan and Jack Harrison. Tom Bryan, born in Worcestershire, but grew up in Castleford. Like his father, Tom worked down the mines and played for Castleford Rugby League team. On April the 9th, 1917, Tom ran at a machine gun nest, taking it out. He survived. Jack Harrison, born in East Hull, his father worked at Earl's Shipyard. He trained to be a teacher at York St John, was a teacher at Lime Street School, and he played rugby league for Hull FC. By the way, his dad wasn't happy. On the 3rd of May 1917, as this will take us through, Jack Harrison ran at a machine gun nest in Oppy Wood. He did not return.
This is their story of their world. Lines written from lines they ran at.
Hull was a busy port. Cargoes from the Baltics. Germany was doing well before the war. Fish for all those fish and chip shops across the north. Buildings were going up all over the place. The Guildhall, the City Hall.
An Alfred Gelder Street was laid to connect East Hull to the city centre. Useful for derbies.
And the mining towns were busy too. Coal was behind every contraption back then.
1914, June. King George was up to open King George Dock. Houdini was back in town. We called our dog after him. And then, the rugby. It was all the men talked about round here.
Hull had lost 3 finals since 1900. In 1914, they bought a team to win it. Up from Wales, Al Francis. Over from Australia, Jim Devereux. Billy Batten, world record signing from Hunslet. Being tackled by Billy was like being hit by a ton of coal.
Hull FC beat the great Wagstaff Suddersfield team in the semis. No mean feat. That was a real battle, that was. It would be Wakefield Trinity in the final at Thrum Hall, Halifax. 10 minutes to go, 0-0. This was war. Batten breaks through. Batten to Harrison. He scores. 52 tries that winning season. Then Batten again. This time to Alf Francis. 3 times losers Hull FC win the Challenge Cup. At last, 6-0.
Dreams that take you away. Here's a scene. Out past the 4 towns, up with the crags, a rolling landscape fit for poets to craft their verse. And then sank the pits. The blackened paste thickens in the palate. Rail yards scour out cops as men pour in to play out the working lives under the arch of pit props in shafts of darkened soul. Women scrubbed knackered backs clean in tin tubs in cold flagged rooms. Here's another. Up by the ice wall, men lash nets and trawl to spill silvered booty across decks to feed hungry towns fish and chips and as many scraps as you can. Another scene. Crowds shoving at turnstiles, a smell of fresh beer, baccy and sweat. Whistle blows, hush. Then noise boils and swirls. Passes, scrums, kicks, Tom Bryan at Cass, Jack Harrison at Hull, Batten to Jack, he swerves over in the corner, crowds roar. Waves crashing and slushing and sifting the shoreline of all their hopes. That first dream of a ball in hand and a line to run at.
Just wait.
1914. It's been a long, hot summer. The Bairns have biked out to Wiv to run to the sea to cool off. Then, all hell breaks loose.
Close your eyes, you're here with me. All our sons, death my plea. In the dark and the cold, palms and the long streets filled with gloom. You are with me in the dream. Feel the weight of the water. Run, run into the sea. Feel the weight of the water. Remember this with every drop of spray. In our hearts, our songs will stay. Crashing waves is the rattle of machine guns, the boom of shells, the continuous run. You are with me in the dream. Feel the weight of the water. Run, run into the sea. Feel the weight of the water. Slowing down, you have no choice. Turn back and soon a pistol points. Advance and keep going to that hypnotic spray. All that's left are names on a shrine. You are with me in the dream. Feel the weight of the water. Run, run into the sea. Feel the weight of the water.
This is war. Now there was unrest across the British Isles. The Lords were against the Liberals' welfare reforms and the unions wanted more say. The Irish wanted home rule and women wanted the vote. Meanwhile, Up at Kiel, the Kaiser is wearing a British naval uniform for his annual Kiel regatta in memory of his grandmother, Queen Victoria. He raises a toast to the German and English navies. Friends now and friends forever.
Next, the spat between cousins. 11 million dead, 42 million wounded. Millions of women lost husbands, children, their fathers. Everyone lost something. How?
Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie are in their carriage in Sarajevo. They slow down at a corner. A young man opens fire and the blood starts to seep across the maps of Europe and far beyond.
Swings are tied up along the east coast. Men across Hull and East Riding are ready to fight. The British Expeditionary Force set off. Expedition? This was no scout camp. This was total war.
Over there, in the spat of antique dynasties, in the embers of a seaside summer, in the forgotten pulse of work, women, and the Irish saw, hats are thrown into the ring at Pearson Park. We're at war, with all the adventure of a scout camp, the menace of dockyard gangs, a constant search for things mislaid as you move from platform to siding to frontier. To the cricketers, grenades. To the rugbymen, trench attacks. To the miners, shovels. To those reading the Punic Wars, pistols. To the women, telegrams. In Flanders, the maze of pulpy roads linking piles that once were cloth holes and homes throws high the clotted slime over your boots. Moving through connecting trenches, the busy ease of a lark at dawn. Pals silhouetted for the snipers squinting down the wipers salient. Stand to on the fire step, all pigment battered in the pestle of heavy guns. Then, amid skies littered with a lattice of tracer flares, nightingales find paths through the sad hearts of men and clowns.
Up to mighty London came an Irish lad one day. All the streets were paved with gold and everyone was gay, singing songs of Piccadilly, Strand and Leicester Square. And Buddy got excited and he shouted to them there, it's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. Don't receive it right and let me know. If you can't read the spelling, Molly dear, said he, remember it's the pen that's bad, don't lay the blame on me. It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly, farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, for my heart lies there. Molly looked a neat reply to Irish Paddy O, saying Mike Maloney wants to marry me, and so leave the round in Piccadilly. Oh, you beat 'em lame. All lovers find it drove me silly, hoping you're the same. It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest gal I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly. Farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, for my heart lies there. All together, it's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest gal I know. Goodbye, Piccadilly. Farewell, Leicester Square. It's a long, long way to Tipperary, where my heart lies there. Oh, my heart lies there, where my heart lies there.
1915. The regular army is wiped out quickly. The territorials are called in, decimated. Kitchener needs men, and he says victory will go to the side with the last 1 million men standing.
So the Powers battalions are set up across the British Isles. Within weeks, men from the same streets, schools, firms, even sports teams join up to fight together.
And us women, I was working at Madam Clapham's. Me, a seamstress, for all those posh gowns. Now, I'm at Smith and Nephew, making bandages. We're all real busy. There's loads of overtime.
Then Belgians are rounded up and shot. 200,000 refugees rush for Britain. Scarborough is shelled. People are killed. U-boats prowl the North Sea, fishing suspended. Zeppelins find an easy target where the rivers Hull and Humber meet. Tension mounts.
Foreigners amongst us, 1915. Here, on a night of Zeppelins, pork butchers are not safe. The crowd beats its way down Ezel Road, smashing windows at Shums, Steigs, and Owen Rhines, screaming at Alsatian dogs and Dachshunds. Inside the tramcar, the light through the blue-painted windows hid us from the gaze of Fritz. A watery light fell across everyone, as if we were drowned. They talked. "I admire the paw," said the woman in the fox fair soul. "Oh, they have fun with nothing." A neighbour nodded. "Look at 'em now. They're drunk, ready to fight. You know, we cannot trust these Germans among us. They stab us with smiles." Outside, firemen arrive to quench raging flames, trapping them in their upstairs hideaway. Scarborough, the Lusitania, the Somme, Zeppelins, pork cutlets, sauerkraut. It is the way he cut through the carcass. You could see the bloodlust welling up. They're all the same, these Fritz.
Boot camp, Pearson Park, 1915. They were playing rugby over by the canteens, charging with the ball through the tents. Others boxed and wrestled, enjoying the summer air. Watching putties loosen around the legs, a flat-footed clerk dropping the bits from a gun and answering what he did with the word that hung in the air. Poet. Months later, we were side by side in a flooded trench, mayhem going on. I asked him, "Can you describe all of this?" The poet looked at me, smiled, and said, "Yes."
Postcard home, Alexandria, 1915. This is like Brid, without the sea. Traipsing over sand in full kit and gun. We're all as red as rovers. Tents like scouts, and bully beef for breakfast, dinner, and tea. It's cushy. A lad in a fez struck a match off his foot. What a laugh. We was roaring. You've got to shout. They don't understand these locals. We're defending a canal. Ships and stuff. Home soon. After some action. Yours sincerely, Frankie.
Marseille, April 1915. In the old port, all that day, you could feel muscles clench in the stirring music calling us all to arms. This was adventure, and everything was possible, away from that job behind a desk in a post office somewhere, counting coins, putting them into neat piles in a bank, compiling the railway timetable elsewhere, weighing merchandise in a shop, cleaning tables, scrubbing the zinc in a bar, loading spools into a textile loom, sweeping metal curls from a floor, cleaning the flesh from a hide in the tannery, loading wagons, chalking declensions on a blackboard in fidgety schoolrooms. The sameness. This was the rush tide against that sense of going nowhere.
And yet, as I look back, there's an image that sticks in my mind. A Chinaman staring out to sea in the old port as the commotion behind him rolled. Wave after wave of cavalry, infantry, and locals waving flags, trumpets and drum beats urging us all on and on and on. The Chinaman just stared out to sea.
300,000 Chinese were brought over, fetching and carrying behind lines against a thunder of guns, bomb blasts of mud and shrapnel. After the war, they were sent out to wander the battlefields, collecting shells, clearing up our mess, strewn bodies into sandbags, dragging dead Tommies to their final resting place. So many Chinese died clearing up. There were so many live shells.
That Chinaman looked like them that turn tarot cards at Old Fair. Same look in the eye. That Chinaman knew war is not just about flags and songs.
Waiting for Zeppelins, Hull, 1915. Everyone walked the pier on Sundays, watched horses shuffle down the cobbled slipway, gossiped as Dutch barges floated by. Dusk, and a bird flies low over the Humber. We spin flat stones across the sticky, sore mud. It was all as childhood should be. Then came silver cigars caught in a leash of lights, slow, serene, above the courts of Paragon Station, picking out timber yards from the light off rivers with flares and incendiary bombs, as we watched their menace and fled with fairground eyes fixed above us. All men had gone. This was a kid's world. Watching soldiers climb the fire back, Mam reading the letters back from front, falling silent as her mind stretched between each word, looking for a moment she could cling to. And me, waiting for Zeppelins.
Second Battle of Wipers, 22nd of April, 1915. They say that smell is the shadow of the soul. Cake sweat, trench rot, sweet creosote or chloride of lime. rotting sandbags, fads and rank food cooking, the damp. Then a fresh raw soul struck at wipers, first a coruscating mist hidden in smoke and tracer flares finding range, lungs rasping, another way to die.
First postcard home, 1915. My dearest mum, Frankie, somewhere in France.
She's watching by the poplars, calling it with the sea blue eyes. She's watching and longing and waiting where the long white roadway lies, and a song stares in the silence as the wind in the boughs above. She listens and starts and trembles, just the first little song of love. Roses are shining in Piccadilly in a hush of the silver dew. Roses are flowering in Piccadilly, but there's never a rose like you. And roses will die with the summertime, and our roads may be far apart, but there's one rose that dies not in Piccadilly. Tis the rose that I keep in my heart. And the years fly on forever till the shadows veil the skies. But he loves to hold her little hands and look into her sea blue eyes, and she sees the road by the poplars where they met in the bygone years. For the first little song of the roses is the last little song she hears. Roses are shining in Piccadilly in the hush of the silver dew. Roses are flowering in Piccadilly, but there's never a rose like you. And the roses will die with the summertime, though our roads may be far apart, but there's one rose that dies not in Piccadilly. Tis the rose that I keep in my heart, but there's one rose that dies not in Piccadilly. Tis the rose that I keep in my heart.
1916. Across the British Isles, there were 37,000 lists on street corners, in work canteens, at football and rugby grounds. At the beginning of the year, we were winning, and the lists were full of those who had joined up.
And then came the Somme. 60,000 killed that first day. 1 million men in total fell in that hellhole.
The lists started to fill up with the fallen, up and down the British Isles, from Dublin to Cardiff, London to Glasgow, Liverpool to Hull. They stopped adding to the lists.
In many places, women and children knelt in front of them, as if at shrines.
The censor, somewhere in France, 1916. Most of them were loafers and dockhands from Hull. Then those Durham lads, miners, thick and childlike. I censored the letters and wrote most of them from somewhere in France, in a wood under shelter, as if a tree would do much against the shells. But mothers worried about the rain. Postcards made us laugh. "When does the tide go out?" said one. Then the food. There was a letter from a brother frustrated he was flying airships in Howden, far from the action. Another asking what to do with the rabbits, the whippets and the frogs.
Maundy rituals, April 1916. Guns fell silent after the sacrifice. Men removed their socks for pistol bearers to wash feet. Trench rot does wicked things to toes. Numbing, turning red, a smell of open sores. Officers on knees inspect sockless feet, kneading whale oil into blackened toes as percussive thuds rattle tin.
The sock factory near Passchendaele, 1916. There had been snow on the ground for weeks, then thaw, and all was mud. Our commanding officer saw to it that the pals' feet could survive. Each day, our worn, moist, then sodden, soggy, then chilling, slippery, then impossible socks were collected. Along the transport lines, a riverine of socks moved. French women repaired them in the farmhouses behind lines. Great days dawned with dry socks. As shells ripped into us, I dreamt of darning buskin boats bound for some godly sea.
Visitors, Piccadilly Trench, 1916. I'm drawing a rat, sneezing at the top of our dugout home. They come every night, gorged on flesh to no holes in our haversacks, and dig into the iron rations. A stench of creosote doesn't deter. They terrify the stammering souls of raw recruits. "Better fed than you or me," said Sergeant Graydon. "You see that one there? She'll have 800 in a year." We were sitting ducks on a crowded Wipers salient. We burrowed by night and attacked at dawn as guns replied. I'm drawing a tree, stripped of all leaves, each branch gone. A scar on the sky, a scene that only the sunlight can soften or smooth such raw wreckage after the thumping of a pre-dawn raid. Char, soaked bread and bacon, smelling of dead men.
Unreal landscape, Arras, 1916. I would paint a coppice of trees each season, the budded promise of spring, full greens of nested summer, rusted autumn, winter's naked branches. Here, my brush paint seasons never told, trees lonely against the sky, scorched bark wounded, and then a silhouette of birds passing trees in a rain of shells.
You wanna find a general, I know where he is. I know where he is. I know where he is. If you wanna find a general, I know where he is. He's pinning another medal on his chest. I saw him. I saw him. He's pinning another medal on his chest. I saw him pinning another medal on his chest. If you wanna find a colonel, I know where he is. I know where he is. I know where he is. If you wanna find a colonel, I know where he is. He's sitting encompassed up in his bloody guts. I saw him. I saw him. He's sitting encompassed up in his bloody guts. I saw him sitting encompassed up in his bloody guts. If you want the sergeant major, I know where he is. I know where he is. I know where he is. If you want the sergeant major, I know where he is. He's up in all the company's rum. I saw him. I saw him. It's up in all the company's rum. I saw him. It's up in all the company's rum. If you wanna see the private, I know where he is. I know where he is. I know where he is. If you wanna see the private, I know where he is. He's hanging on the old barbed wire. I saw him. I saw them hanging on the old barbed wire. I saw them hanging on the old barbed wire.
1917 was a turning point in the war. In January, the Germans declared an unrestricted U-boat campaign. The Allies were losing 1 million tons of shipping each month, and hospital ships were being sunk. Then, the Zimmermann telegram. The Germans were working with Mexico on an invasion of Texas. The Americans decide to join in. And news from Russia is worsening by the day.
Back home, rationing came in. Unbuttered muffins, wedding cakes without sugar. More women were working in the munitions factories. Us women were saluting like men, no more curtsying. And in February, our Jack had been awarded the Military Cross for leading his patrol into no man's land.
On March the 15th, Tsar Nicholas II abdicates. On April the 6th, the US declares war on Germany. The doughboys are on the way.
Attrition, attrition, attrition. 1,000 men killed every day on the front line. And the Germans, they decide to shrink the lines and save on manpower. They build the Hindenburg Line, and they leave a wasteland on their way behind. It's a trap. Meanwhile, the Allies have been burrowing towards the Arras front. 19 kilometres of tunnels dug by miners from the north and from New Zealand. This is a masterstroke.
Ready to go. 1 minute, we were looking out over the waste into the blackness of night. Then, wild flashes spreading across the front as if some big devil had set light to the skies. 1,000 flares, red, green, white, yellow, golden rain. They were softening up Fritz.
In go the Canadians. They take Vimy and push the Germans back along the Hindenburg Line, villages close by Arras. Oppy is one of them.
Oppy, 10 kilometres north-east of Arras, is a small village surrounded by fields of crops. Around 400 people had lived there for generations.
The square was flanked by the church and the mairie. It was renamed Wilhelmplatz by the Germans. Close by, the chateau and the wood. now full of machine guns and tough as teak Bavarian soldiers.
Jack Harrison and his platoon had been behind lines at Heberton, southwest of Arras.
Before the war, you could hear the bells of 11 villages from Oppie.
Soon, every single village of the 11 was levelled to the cellars.
A letter from our Jack arrived. Dearest Lily, a lovely summer's day today. Whilst the nights just lately have been fine, clear and moonlight, I am afraid though that the old Hun can see us through its brilliance. It reminds one very much of Barnes' father's cartoon about her, saying, I wonder if this lovely moon is shining on him too. Whilst he is saying, this blinking moon will be the death of me, as he is crawling about in no man's land. You can't help but smile when you know the life on this side. I am feeling A1 just now, and hope in spite of the anxious food question at home, that you are keeping well. Yours ever, Jack.
Comic intruder, near Arras, 1917. There had been no shadow for days. A black sun blocked the skies, slapped us down with guns, made us daft with fear, before whistles blew. Then Frankie did his musical saunter up the trench, clowning legs loose as his lips, sidestepping bullets, all cakes and ale, uniform a pied coat, helmet, a cap with bells, death a hoax he could store like punchlines. He walked his make-believe wire-on ductwork boards as wide as 10 foot, a chorus for rats, a sonnet for lice in his shirt. He would sketch cartoons for Cards Home, be there like a priest with jokes for the wounded to make us free again. There was something beyond the laughter of a world unhinged from the yoke of this fight, a smile as big as the umber, as daft as summer once was.
Chandeliers over Arras, 1917. Every evening, frenzied bombardiers strafed enemy lines with wild crescendos of light-fused noise. Bohemian chandeliers stare white across the sky, shells falling slowly, sycamore samaras from hostile stars. Sometimes ears bled, minds so tired they let go of the streets and smells of home, the warmth of family and friends.
Oh, I could read the contours of this ancient town. All the panelled houses like tarot cards on the ground. Wander through each village and remember their names. They meet in Asheville, they all look the same. They all look the same, and all the bells they ring, ringing out in old Oppie Wood. It's a fine day to die, to leave this world behind. It's a fine day to say goodbye. It's a fine day to say goodbye. Just before the war, when the harvest was good, Lovers chasing meadows and through a shadowed wood, over golden fields, the colour of stone. Ever the birdsong, the sweet rains of home, the sweet rains of home. And all those bells, they ring, ringing out in old poppy wood. It's a fine day to die, to leave this world behind. It's a fine day to say goodbye. It's a fine day to say goodbye. Over blood-red fields, the colour of bone, never silent bird songs, the sweet rains of home, the sweet rains of home. It was that moment when life slips into death, everything upended with every last breath, every last breath. And all the bells, they ring, ringing out a world that's no good. It's a fine day to die, to leave this world behind. It's a fine day to say goodbye. And all the bells, they ring, ringing out a world that's no good. It's a fine day to die, to leave this world behind. It's a fine day to say goodbye. It's a fine day to say goodbye.
Frankie reads the prayer book near Vimy Ridge, 1917. There's a spare page in the back of the prayer book, short form of will. We had time, so I grabbed a stubby pencil. In the event of my death, I give the whole of my property and effects to be divided equally between me mum and dad. It set me thinking of all my personal effects. Not much. When the shilling goes home from a trench, as it did from the shipyard, a young man's breath is what you have left to give, not leave behind.
Come on, Frankie. Gives a tune. Gives a tune.
When you come to the end of a perfect day and you sit alone with your thoughts while the chimes ring out with a carol gay for the joy that the day has brought. Do you think what the end of a perfect day can mean to a tired heart? When the sun goes down with a flaming ray and the dear friends have to part. Well, this is the end of a perfect day, near the end of a journey too. But it leaves a thought that is big and strong, with a wish that is kind and true. For memory has painted this perfect day with colors that never fade, and we find at the end of a perfect day the soul of a friend we've made.
John, go! Game on, Arras, 1917. After photographs back home, playing with wooden rifles, raucous songs at sea, warm nights on deck, sand castles by Suez, the smell and sight of mimosa on trains through France, we turned our backs on a world we knew and met with a muddied hell. Across Arras, northern streets were laid out over flooded fields with lads from each house sent out as one. Jimmy punted an oval ball high above the trenches out into no man's land. A whistle blew. We rucked together and chased the tricking ball on, flying at the waves of fire to the last ebb. Some fell to the churn, others clung to the lights of old or ran breathless at white water. I walked back as blood tides seeped away with the night, weary through standing, and they were all gone. Now, this is all I see, the flight of a soaring ball above our heads in the mesh of lights, a mad rush for one thing that was familiar. It was as daft as that. Full-on noise of a roaring crowd, hammers on metal, fizz of rivets, me walking back through rats and tin with a ball in my hands.
Moonlight at Oppie, dawn, 3rd of May, 1917. He'd written about the moonlight in the letter. Then, when he went missing, the others started to explain. The raid had been set for dawn on the 3rd of May 1917. At the last minute, the raid was brought forward to make use of night cover, which had been dark, misty and smoky from the shelling and gunfire. The early morning turned out to be clear, and the men were silhouetted against the moon. This sent a chill right through me. The Hull pals attacked, but were pinned down by the heavy machine gun fire from the wood. Then the bravery. I kept reading that piece in the London Gazette. Owing to darkness and to smoke from the enemy barrage, and to the fact that our objective was in a dark wood, it was impossible to see when our barrage had lifted off the enemy front line. Why did they go?
Jack Harrison, Hull FC, Oppie Wood, May the 3rd, 1917. Noise everywhere, deafening, boulevard gone mad. We were all over the place. Then Jack, running at that line, dodging, weaving. 52 tries that last season. That's Jack, running straight at him, knees up, head back, gone. Except this was Oppie Wood, a dark place, machine guns flashing, taking out the pals. That's what set him off. Jack running hard, grenade, handgun, sidestep, silhouetted by the flares, machine guns, mad. Jack's dash, bang! Silence. Time. Still. As for a kick.
is white. Our boys in white, waiting for the kickoff, watching the flares at night. From Castleford to the early birds, they volunteered to fight. I'm afraid the Hun can see us dearest relief in the fine and brilliant moonlight. Run, run for the line. Run, run for the line. Whistle blows over the top window. No one knows if it's our time. Give it up to God for every one of us. I'm running for the line. Run, run for the line. Run, run for the line. From mining towns down to the fishing ports, to the darkest wood that night, pals were saved with 2 acts of bravery from the amber, black and white. Shells are falling, coming in a heavy rain, turns the green fields red. Run at the goal into machine gun fire, reported missing, believed dead. Run, run for the line. Run, run for the line. Whistle blows over the top window. No one knows if it's our time. Give it up to God, pray for every one of us. Oh, we're running for the line. Run, run 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 for the line.
1918. The Russians had withdrawn, and for a moment, Fritz piled all those spare men into the Western Front. Then the doughboys arrived, big Yanks with their toothy grins and money to jump the queues at the estaminet behind lines.
Germany signs a peace agreement at Brest-Litovsk with Soviet Union. Germany launches spring offensives 1, 2, 3 and 4. The final push is on the Marne. US forces engage and win. By October, Germany and Austria request an armistice.
At the 11th hour, on the 11th of November, Armistice Day.
Silent pictures. I remember legions of sparks moving over soot on the fireback. Shadow theatres, magic lanterns, rotating a strip of pictures on my kineoscope, watching a motionless horse gallop, flicking pages of a book to watch boxers punch and Buster Keaton landing cat limp, breaking the fall with foot or hand. We are next over the top, and before me, peering out into no man's land, is a dance of pals charging forward, silhouetted by the moon and tracer flares. Each staccato movement takes me back to those speeded up frames. A lad I knew from a street I lived on, a team I played in, a firm I worked at, slowed down to a stammer as he ran through a barbed wire hedge, dodging craters, nesting in one. bursting back on the scene. Running again, explosions everywhere, canyon thunder, him lost in a mist of debris on the last page of a flicked book.
By your graveside, rest for a while in the bright summer sun. I've been walking all day and I'm nearly done. I can tell by your gravestone that you were 19, enjoying the great fallen in 1916. Well, I hope you died well, and I hope it was clean. Young Willie McBride wasn't slow on the scene. And they made the drum slowly, and they played the pipe slowly. The rifle fired over you as they lowered you down. Did the bugles play the last post in chorus? Pipes play the blast of the forest. Did you leave a wife or a sweetheart behind? In that faithful heart is your memory entwined. Although you died back in 1916. When they answered the call, did they really believe this war would end war? For the sorrow
Hull pal makes his way back home. We finished up in barracks in Cologne, prisoners of war. Jerry had us out on parade as if naught had happened. We weren't having any more of that, so we polished our buttons and walked out past the sentries at the gate. We told them proper, we won, you lost. We walked around Cologne, naught going on, just us being spat at by all the women. We went back to the barracks. I remember seeing the Germans coming back with the donkey carts, the goats and ragged kit, a regular rabble, shouting and waving to the crowds who were cheering them on. Welcome home to our unconquered heroes. We were ready to go home. We couldn't get tickets for London, so we found a boat and set off up the Rhine, the scenic route. We stopped at Dusseldorf and went for another walk about. The Reds were rioting across the city, so we rushed back to the boat and headed on for Rotterdam. Then we changed boat and off we went. We landed in Hull, my hometown. We were the first ones back. I remember the silence and all those buildings dropped in the Zeppelin raids. I remember seeing our lass. It had been a while. She had shorter hair, shorter skirts and money in her pocket. Do you know, I've never felt less like a hero in all my life.
We talk again. They say you died twice. First when you fell in the mud at Oppie. They describe your sacrifice in the London Gazette, award you medals and silence at matches. Then, when they stop talking about you. Once that wide-eyed lad watching rivets glow at Earl's shipyard, all hands busy, Dad wearing red for the derby, Jack chalk on board each day, ball in hand Saturdays, chasing another dream over the river. Then, 10 minutes to go, a cup to win, 0-0, baton breaks, all the line opens up as a tide turning mud dry. Jack's skill slows everything down, melts all noise, all light into the ball in his hands. Then, a Bavarian gunner peers out from the wood by the chateau. Moonlight carves each furrow in a ploughed field, holds each pal still as they set out across the soil. Jack picking up speed, Jack picking up speed. And then, time's silence settles, images fade. Teams build back with fresh blood, and all that knew him go the way of us all. Tonight, in this sacred memory hoard of a church, we are here to talk and sing of you and yours again.
Boulevard, waiting for the snow to fall, turn the green fields white. Our boys in line, waiting for the kickoff, watching the flares at night. From Castleford and the early birds, they volunteered to fight. I'm afraid the Hun can see his dearest Lee in the fine and brilliant moonlight. Run, run for the line. Run, run for the line. Whistle blows over the top window. No one knows if it's our time. Give it up to God, pray for every one of us. Oh, we're running for the line. Run, run for the line. Run, run mining towns, down to the fishing ports, to the darkest wood that night. Pals were saved with 2 acts of bravery from the amber, black and white. Shells are falling, coming in a heavy rain, turns the green fields red. Run up the goal into machine gun fire, reported missing, believed dead. Run, run for the line. Run, run for the line. Whistle blows over the top wicket. No one knows if it's our time. Give it up to God for every one of us. Oh, we're running for the line. Come on! Run, run for the line. 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 Yeah, well done, folks.